welcome to another unboxing. And this is something we've been waiting for a long time. I think we were kind of at the end of the line, which was difficult. This arrived over the holidays, and it's something we've been playing with the PDF version. And there's an actual play on the channel that's being released in episodes. But let's take a look inside and see how everything came out in the physical world. So unfortunately, this version had a lot of cool cyberpunk lettering all over it. Actually, it's called Japanese, I think. But I had to take it all off for ID purposes. But it looked very cool. It looked very Blade Runner because it had a lot of Japanese shipping labels all over it. All right. And our bubble wrap and our extra set of dice. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. The starter set has a set, and so I got an extra pair because there are some occasions. It's just easier when they put the symbols. See those guys? When they put the symbols on there, it's easy to see. So Free League is good at suckering me. And so as you have already guessed from the title, we're going to be looking at the Blade Runner RPG released by Free League. We start right away with the dice. So why don't we do that? And I think basically every one of their RPGs, they've done custom dice and always do something interesting. So this is similar to Twilight 2000 in that you've kind of got steps of dice. You get ranks of dice. And this will make it easier to judge criticals because you've got symbols where the successes and then the double successes are. And then we also have our failures, which are origami unicorns. Yeah, so and all the dice they have that, and they're nice, transparent red acrylic. They'll look nice on the table, and yeah, good quality as always. Free League does a nice job with their materials. Let's see if it continues. So here is this is all one big old block here. All right, there's just some bubble wrap at the bottom. So here we go. Everything in a big bubble wrap bag. Let's see. I think everything. The box looked like it was in pretty good shape. I've really seen some horror stories with photo document of people's damaged shipments. That I can't believe some of the things that can happen. So here's the print of the art from the cover. Nice cardstock. Yeah, not super glossy. And then we've got our screen, and like similar to a lot of the other screens that they're doing them as a horizontal. So it's an A4 kind of horizontal as opposed to a tall screen. And I think that's because it lets the game master reach over the board reach over the screen a lot easier and manipulate things on the tabletop. Let's take a look. And this definitely would have been nice. I didn't print anything out as far as summaries and stuff. We spent way too much time flipping through PDFs. So here's the screen. So Game Runner screen, a deluxe Game Runner screen in landscape format for the original Blade Runner role-playing game. Features Martin Grip's art on the outside and a host of useful tables and important information on the inside while keeping the Game Runner's plans hidden from the eyes of the inquisitive players. Go. And yes, he did some beautiful work for this, and we used it on a virtual tabletop. The PDF was all that was out for case 1. Oh, this is really nice, yeah. I like that they understand the composition. They take advantage of it being horizontal and give you a nice panorama. Sorry, I'm trying to get as much glare off of that as possible. And then let's take a look. So this is a nice heavy card. I mean, really heavy. A lot of people have been skimping and giving you just a thin cardstock. This is a heavy board, like a board game board, wrapped with the cover. So it's very very nice. Nothing's gonna. So that wrapped edge is not gonna fray so easily like cut card would. And here, oh, nice. Yeah. So this is this is something that would have been nice as we were getting used to the system to just have at a glance is descriptions of tests and what those meant. And stress effects. Nice. Oh, and all the critical injuries right there. There we go. Yeah, that's all the stuff that you kind of dig for, because it doesn't come up all the time. Game center. And, of course, you have to have some katakana on there. Nice. And explosions. Oh, yeah, this is great. Yeah, it's all the stuff that we dug for. Very nice. So good quality. Yeah, I like sometimes when they include a little extra supplement or some tables or help for the game master along, like a booklet, which they've done before, along with the screen. But not this time. They've got confidence in the book, and that's speaking of. Now, it's not as thick as I thought, and I felt that with the PDF as well. This is a very economical game. I guess because there's not like spells, there's not magic, so you don't have huge sections of spell tables, and there's no sections of, monsters. There's no bestiary or anything. So, yeah, really nice job. And, of course, this is just the standard cover that's going to be available at retail. I don't usually go, just because I want to be able to use it at the tabletop and don't want to be too overly careful with it. I want something I can bang up on the tabletop and pass around. I don't think you want to hand special edition limited covers to players with their potato chip crumb covered fingers. So yeah, we'll go through this. We'll do a little flip through of this book. So here we go. Here's on the back. This is the Blade Runner role-playing game, a neon noir wonderland that will take your breath away, one way or another. An evocative world of conflicts and contrasts that dares to ask the hard questions and investigate the power of empathy, the poison of fear, and the burden of being a human during inhumane times. An iconic and unforgiving playground of endless possibilities that picks you up, slaps you in the face, and tells you to wake up. Time to live or time to die. The official Blade Runner RPG will propel players into the streets of Los Angeles as Blade Runners with unique specialties, personalities, and memories. The core game and its line of expansions will push the boundaries of investigative gameplay in tabletop RPGs, giving players a range of tools to solve an array of cases far beyond retiring replicants. Beyond the core casework, the RPG will both in setting and mechanics showcase key themes of Blade Runner: action, corporate intrigue, existential character drama, and moral conflict. That challenges players to question their friends, empathize with their enemies, and explore and preserve the hope for humanity. Yeah, that's a great summary. I mean, I think it really gets that across, what they were trying to do with this game. So, content warning. The Blade Runner franchise deals with dark and existential themes. This role-playing game is no different. The stories told in this game can be violent, distressing, and raise issues relating to personal morals. This is not a game for children. And so Free League and Alcon Entertainment, who licensed Blade Runner. So I think a lot of people... this is, official Blade Runner license, but a lot of people confuse this with being cyberpunk. And if you wanted to play a cyberpunk game, you should play that. This has, different types of Blade Runner, but you're only playing a Blade Runner and you're only investigating. So if you don't want to do that, or that doesn't sound appealing, or you don't want to play a cop, of course you wouldn't want to play this game. It's like, yeah, it's an obvious choice, but this isn't a sandbox. I mean, it's not a sandbox in the way that you can play any sort of character. You can play a noodle shop owner or an artificial animal designer. None of that is in there. Those are NPCs, and you're always a Blade Runner. I think they do a really good job of handling that. So, well, I guess let's do right now. Let's just start flipping through the book, and then we'll take a look at the quality and the components of the starter set once you get an idea of what the game is kind of about. That might work best. All right, so we've got our dice just off camera. So we'll have another set of those. So here we go. So the end papers are a map of Los Angeles, and it's good to kind of get your bearings with this, because in the adventures you're kind of jumping around, and because they use kind of a shifts in a day to track the player's progress and how time moves, moving from one place to another. The game master, or I'm forgetting the game runner, right? Of course, the game runners need to have some idea of how long something would take, because a shift is technically 6 hours. So what you can get done in 6 hours, you should be able to do. So if things are right next to each other, you might be generous and let the characters get away with it. Yeah, so I've only been looking at this as a PDF. So now to see it with glossy black, with white text, white and red text, is really nice. And I like the edge effect and everything, like the worn out cathode screens. I have a lot of things. So Fiery the Angels Fell is all the setup for the themes and the setting for Blade Runner. Your Blade Runner, the core concepts, key memories, key relationships, your gear. Wrapping up says this character creation, promotion and humanity points, which are kind of the XP, and then the types of Blade Runner. So analyst, city speaker, doxy, enforcer, fixer, inspector, and skimmer. And then skills and specialties. So the dice mechanics, the skills, and the different specialties you can play. Sorry if might want to do this a bit. There we go. And then combat and chases, zones and ranges. So like a lot of the free league games, they abstract distances. You're not counting squares. You've got near, far. Just kind of abstract ranges that weapons work at best, and you can move a range for your movement during a round. Rounds and initiative, actions and moves, close combat, ranged combat, damage, stress and resolve, other hazards, vehicle combat, and chases. Yeah, they do have like spinner combat and stuff in here. So I thought that was interesting, really interesting idea. A Tale of Two Cities, so divided and trapped in time. So this is a run through of kind of the composition of Los Angeles. So if you're making your own original cases in here, it's good to have an idea where things are located, and for things to kind of make sense. So talking about the kind of just the geography of the city itself and what is in every sector. The powers that be, so it discusses government agencies, special interests, the media, criminal enterprises, the Wallace Corporation, replicants, and the replicant lot in life. So of course there's a lot of corporate dominance. The Wallace Corporation, having saved the world with their protein production of protein, have ended starvation on Earth, and basically have very special treatment, and of course then also supplement very heavily the LAPD, and have chosen, while all the other corporations of this time are off-world, Wallace Corporation is the only one with headquarters in Los Angeles. So it's very rare and unique. So obviously you're dealing with them a lot more, and it also talks about the corruption of the government agencies, like how things are kind of owned and controlled, captured by the money. So working the case. So the Rep Detect Unit, the New Order, the RDU headquarters, RDU divisions, Wallace resources, using LAPD resources, leveraging assets, building a reputation, standard procedure, and work that crime scene. So it's nice. It does go through the investigative process that they kind of recommend, so that it does feel, you kind of know what to do, and you kind of have a feel for, when you're called to a specific place, how to interrogate, how to, observe the scene. And there's mechanics for kind of observing things, and a lot of handouts, and we'll see that in the starter set, but they do a great job. We did it all digitally on the virtual tabletop, but I'm constantly bringing up character mugshots and photos of places, license plates, and crime scenes, and you can zoom in and look through, and that worked out okay on the virtual tabletop. But it'd be nice for to see players like sticking their noses into the photos that are part of the handouts, and it really makes it so basically while you're deep into the case, you just have things spread all over the table. So it's very it very much feels like an investigation, because as a detective would have all of the evidence and things that they're thinking about, and the persons of interest and witnesses and things, you just have all of their images all over, and it's very immersive in that way. So tools of the trade, the RDU gear, RDU armory, the blasters, the PK, Philip K. Dick, Blaster, Intelligence and Tech, Synthetic Support, Detective Special Spinner Cycles, Public Transportation, Basic Goods, and Shopping Destinations. So a lot of things like you basically just have access to, and they abstract the money into Chin-yen points, which don't represent like a single unit of currency, just represent like a level of spending. And I think that works well for just giving you, and so it's more abstracted. There's not counting bullets and things like that. The focus is on the conflict, the character conflict, and the investigation. But there's all kinds of great weaponry. We made good use of sonic grenades in our running the case file 1, and then running Blade Runner. So I guess the Game Runners section, the key themes, playing scene by scene, setting the mood, anatomy of a case file, playing investigation, downtime, promotion and humanity, non-player characters, and case file generator. Oh yeah, that's right, there's tables in here. So downtime is an interesting mechanic. If the players are feeling very aggressive or like they're onto a lead, they can push and not sleep that night and just keep going through these, because you basically have 4 shifts in a day, and this will come up later in the book, and one of those shifts has to be downtime, and things happen during downtime, but you also recover stress and health, so you can recover if something doesn't go horribly wrong while you're at home or on the streets. But yeah, I think they do a really good job of explaining kind of the point of this, and this game is like meant to do something very specific that's very much like the films, so there's not a real point in trying to make it do something it's not, like trying to set up some, underground sporting, underground like fight club with the replicants or whatever. I mean, that would be a very cool case file. But I mean, to come up with, mechanics that is the game, and your player character is a fighter, and yeah, it's like that's actually a really good idea though for an origin, like where a replicant came from. Is some kind of weird underground fighting. We never saw something like that, but it must have existed. And so the setting for this is 2030. It's the 2030s. I think 2037 is the date of the case file. So what that does is that puts it almost exactly in between the original Harrison Ford movie, Ridley Scott movie, which was set in 2019, and then the 2049, the Denis Villeneuve film. So we're right exactly in the middle of that. So we're beyond Nexus 6, and we're not quite to the level of the joy and love kind of models of technology. But they do have the virtual assistants though, that do come up. So here is the first. And so there's so many references to movie lines: "Tears in the Rain," "Fiery," "The Angels Fell." So basically everything that Roy Batty said is a heading in this book. But look at this, the beautiful Martin grip work. I mean, it's just wonderful how he recreated this feel and the setting in his style and his like moody digital painting style. So they run through the setting of the world. And here's a nice timeline. They did a couple of updates on this from the original beta that we saw. And in the beginning of our session, I did a little run through to get people up to speed. And that might be a good idea, especially because one of our players had just watched the first movie just recently to play the game, hadn't seen 2049. And the other player was a big fan and, was immersed in the films and other PC game and other media and stuff. And that's nice. The NPCs in the case file, some of them are from the PC game, the famous Blade Runner PC RPG. So yeah, a nice timeline of how everything happened, how everything kind of fell into place. And kind of mid-late, they're kind of giving you events in decades, not pinned down to specific dates. Sometimes the specific date does come up, but you've got a little room to play around. So yeah, the setting for the game is 2037. So not just the case file, but the whole game. And so that means that just like in 2049, but this is a recent development, that replicants are Blade Runners. So that's a very new, so that creates, that's a nice thing that creates the tension. And choosing whether you're going to play a human or replicant has a a lot of significance. And basically, replicants are much tougher because they can push twice and take stress damage instead of physical damage for most things. But that means they're mentally fragile and physically much stronger. But they were all just created last year. So the fact that they have implanted memories and stuff is a difficulty, and several things will come up in a case that will give them pause and question. Yeah, so moral conflict, soul searching, they run through the concepts. Yeah, so key themes. Oh, this is good. This is similar to what Freely did with previous books to kind of get you into the setting and let you know, like Tales from the Loop and things. They talked about what the themes of the game are. So let's just go through these so you have some good idea. So the key themes start with sci-fi action, a hot pursuit down a neon-lit alleyway, a high-speed spinner chase, a shootout on a rooftop, a brawl at a nightclub. Character drama. No matter how vast or awe-inspiring the world, your perspective is always grounded in compelling, relatable human drama. Peering up through the streets and gutters, we craft intimate character studies that examine how each individual ticks and explores how they come together or lose themselves with countless challenges and influences that bring out the best and sometimes the worst. Best in some and worst in others. Corporate intrigue. Everybody answers to somebody, and the struggle between the powers that be never stops. Every boardroom, ballroom, bedroom, and back alley is another battleground where industry titans, political puppets, megacorp despots, crime lords, and special interest lobbyists, snitches, squealers, all spy and conspire in the never-ending motives of the conflicting agendas. So yeah, that's something that comes up. You will, and it's a good thing to kind of get in there as much as possible to make them realize they're just these tools, these pieces on a chessboard, these cogs in a machine, like that you have such a little control because someone can just make a phone call and change your fate. Moral conflict. The driving inspiration in noir storytelling is moral conflict, the intense inner turmoil to maintain your empathy, humanity, and moral code outside the relentless desires, seductions, corruptions in an unsympathetic world that doesn't reward you for playing by the rules. The life of a Blade Runner is a dichotomous emotional journey filled with light and darkness, hopeful triumphs and cautionary tales alike, as you make one impossible choice after another and then live with the consequences. It's a really good way to put that in, and something that if you aren't interested in that, then this isn't a game for you. If that kind of moral conflict is going to raise too many issues or make you feel uncomfortable or connect you too much to real world problems and disenfranchised and underrepresented people, then yeah, this might not be the game for you, because you're playing a cop that's like trying to sort out what the hell they're even doing there, and if they want to give up the life, if they want to keep going, if they're the only thing that's keeping the world sane. And then soul searching. A detective's life is not without its respites and deep reflection over a stiff drink and a warm embrace. This job forces you to process your choices, come to terms with your regrets and failures, and ask the hard questions that weigh what you think is right or worth fighting for. What makes us who we are? What it even means to be human. Every step deeper into the world will challenge you to reevaluate who you are really, and what you're truly capable of, how much you're willing to justify or sacrifice, and just how far you're willing to go. So this system does a really interesting job of reinforcing that, because humanity points that we'll get to are a way. So if you withhold data from, or withhold evidence or information from the LAPD to protect someone or to further some cause or something that you believe in, you're awarded humanity points, and those can be used to develop your character. So there is a mechanical reason in the game, if you're going to metagame, to do things against orders or to do things that may be counter to what you would assume your role is in following rules would be. So characters that start off on this kind of straight and narrow, like new recruits and things, that want to do things right, end up in a lot of dilemma. And so I think exploring that is very interesting. If you're not interested in doing that with a character, if you're just want to do cool stuff and do a lot of damage, then it's not gonna. Yeah, the game won't play very well for you, because I think so. It's a lot like systems that have come into computer RPGs where you make these decisions and then later it's going to come up, like they'll have these effects, and also it can get you demoted at. So that's an interesting balance. Is so you have promotion points and you have humanity points, and both of those benefit your character for kind of character development. And you can use promotion points to have access to resources and things. So it's basically like your reputation at the LAPD. And what happens is humanity points are a little bit more useful overall and are a little bit more enhancing of your character. So if you do what the LAPD says, you can do well with promotion points. But if you do what your character believes in or what people are begging you to help them with, then kind of those little personal stories and that those morality choices and things you make can earn you humanity points. So it's an interesting balance, and it's not directly. There's not loot and slaying mobs of characters, mobs of NPCs. It's very, very different in that way, and it's kind of negotiating this interesting world. So they go through all of the basic mechanics of the game and personal stories. So you're a Blade Runner, but you're also an individual with personal drives, memories, and relationships. You can't be on the clock all the time. During downtime, which is typically at least one shift per day, you can rest at home, hit a club, get drunk, or do whatever you need to do to clear your head and reset your system. So this is that downtime mechanic I think works well. You can push through it, but you keep taking stress every time, so you get close to mentally breaking if you don't take some kind of rest and recharge. And it's the best way to heal damage as well. But it can also be interrupted, just like in a fantasy RPG when you're camping or trying to recover, taking a long rest. A wandering monster can come along. That sort of thing can happen here as well. Another gorgeous piece of full spread here. So your Blade Runner. So the core concepts. So you choose human or replicant. Yeah, basically. So here's your 15 steps, which are actually pretty quick. The character development went pretty fast. There's a couple of things though that were frustrating, and it might have been because we're using the PDF. I missed the point that said that because you do roll for how old you are, like how long you've been out there, and whether you're a rookie or a veteran. And I missed the part that said replicants cannot be veterans because they were just created yesterday. So they have the training of a rookie, and so they all must start as rookies. And we didn't do that in the character creation, but we came up with a really fun way to make that work. And because obviously when the Wallace Corporation introduced Nexus 9 replicants to the LAPD, there must have been early versions and prototypes and kind of the test models. So those would be the veterans, and they may have needed to kind of tune them to believe that they had been on the force longer. So we played it that way, and it worked well. All right. So the archetypes. Oh yeah, years on the force. There it is. I totally missed this. All replicant Blade Runners are rookies. Only 1 year has passed since the N9 models were approved for use on Earth. Totally missed this when we're going through the steps. So we had a veteran replicant. Secret replicants are also possible, if that sounds interesting. And so here's the years on the force. And so so this has some mechanical. It gives you benefits to attributes, benefits to skills, extra specialties and things, and then how much Chinyen you start with. All right, so your starting attributes, your health and resolve. Yeah, so basically everything starts at C, and then you can raise and lower to spend. You've got to spend to increase everything, so you can get things up to the highest rank, but that means you're going to also have some lower. You're going to have lower ranks. So then you make increases indicated by the number of years on the force. Oh, that's right. So that determines your. That is determined what you can do as far as your attributes is determined by your years on the force. Starting skill levels. Everything starts as a D, and you can add to it. And this was an interesting thing. So you have this key memory. And I'd want to see some expansion to this too, because we had some really surreal, real nightmarish key memories generated from this. And it was hard to connect to them in some ways. So we may want to, I would suggest let your players create, use this as inspiration, and let your players create exactly what they want, an idea that they have or something that's familiar to them, because some of this stuff gets it's like really surreal dreams is what you generate in a lot of cases, and that may be hard. I mean, I guess it's good it's more abstract because it's more flexible, but it's difficult. So your memory table, and then your relationships. So you have a key relationship, you have a key memory, and a key relationship, and those are used to reduce stress and people that you rely on or connect with. That can kind of bring you back down to earth. The people you confide with when things get bad for you. And your gear, you have a signature item, and that's a thing you can interact with as well. So you have a key memory, a key relationship, and then a signature item. And the signature item is a thing that connects you to the person that you are. You can take it out like a memento or some kind of keepsake, and take it out, and it mechanically can reduce stress, but it's constantly, I am a replicant, I am a human, I am, whatever your character needs to be and needs to reassure themselves that they are. So this is, a lot of the position that your character is going to take in the world. It does happen during character creation, which is good. Very good. Okay, so promotion and humanity. So, promotion points are basically, so in doing your job as a Blade Runner, solving cases, reporting evidence, apprehending replicants, you gain promotion points. The do's and don'ts of gaining promotion points are discussed in detail. So, there's disciplinary action where they can take it away. If you go below, if you go to 0, then I think for replicants, you instantly have to take the test. You have to be tested, the stress test that replicants take, like in 2049. And humanity points. So humanity points are awarded if you used your key memory, interacted with your key relationship, or failed a baseline test. So if you succeeded a baseline test, you instantly get a promotion point and are out of trouble with the LAPD, out of that questionable zone. But if you fail it, you get a humanity point. And so humanity points are more limited than promotion points, but they are very important. You can use them to increase your skill levels. So you can use that to increase things by a step, based on how far you're going from ranks. And then replicants and baseline. So when a replicant has 0 promotion points, or when a case file specifies it, they must take a baseline test to test their mental stability. This is done immediately. So they're described in the other. So you immediately gain a promotion point if you succeed, and if you fail, you gain a humanity point. But you'll suffer penalties if you fail. So here are the types, or the archetypes, I think they're calling them. So here's the archetypes for the Blade Runner. So an analyst. You're a master of the crime lab. So intelligence is your main skill, and then you have observation, medical aid, and tech. They give you a nice appearance, some example names you can go with. So if you really want to make this random, you can get it out of your hands pretty easily. You can randomize a lot of character creation to come up with something quick, and then figure out how you want to play it. A city speaker. Speak long enough to the city and it speaks back. You've got rats in every gutter, pigeons on every roof, urchins in every port. So your key attribute is empathy, mobility, connections, and insight. So you can make your way around the city. You're well connected in the city. A doxy. You always know what to say. Body language, eye contact, vocal tones, body temperature, pulse rate, even scent. Every detail. Another window into your subject's mind. Earlier models used to use this data to serve their personal needs. You only serve the law. So you have agility, hand-to-hand combat, mobility, and manipulation. So strong and manipulative. And usually, the thinking Pris, like the model for this. I mean, Pris obviously was a replicant, but yeah, something like, or close to Love in the, if Love was a Blade Runner. Something like that, very well put together and very sharp and powerful. And Enforcer, you've seen things most people wouldn't believe. A few hours in the Off-Road Colony Defense Program, a few tours in the defense program put you in every shitastic situation conceivable. Kick murder squads, hostage situations, counterterrorism, demolitions. So basically, a former soldier, a vet of the military, of the defense force. So strength is your key attribute, and then hand-to-hand combat, stamina, and firearms. Then the Fixer. Some call you a career politician. Others a political crusader. You don't care what they think. You work the system, and you never play nice. Though everybody knows to play nice with you. So empathy, connections, manipulation, and insight. So not very physical, but very, manipulation. So very good for, one of the players was a fixer, so it's very good for investigation. You can call up resources and manipulate things really well. And you're loaded. You got a lot of chin-yen. Inspector, you're the quintessential marshal. Torn from time immemorial of a trench coat wearing, liquor drinking, bullet slinging bastards and bulldozers who can strut into the meanest bar, the darkest alley, and everybody knows the law just walked in. So key attribute: agility, firearms, observation, and connections. So the ultimate detective. So I guess if you wanted to do a Deckard, that would work well. Skimmer, everybody knows. Everybody but you knows that there's more than Kipple, that you're more Kipple than cop. There's so much dirt under your nails. Getting clean is an act of futility and naivety. Screw them. Let them talk. If internal affairs can't get you, they've cuffed you. They would have cuffed you by now. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't a fixer. It was a skimmer. Yeah, the player was a skimmer. So empathy, firearms, connections, and manipulation. Yeah, so that's the very well. Your specialty, you can take cash flow, so you can be always well funded. Yeah, sorry, it was a skimmer. Yeah, so those are the archetypes, and so it gives you a good variety of combat or investigation, or just kind of manipulation and resource capable characters. So the skills and specialties. So talk about the ranks of the dice, and sorry I haven't gone over this yet, but similar to Twilight 2000, so there are 4 ranks of dice. A rank is a D12, B is a D10, C is a D8, and D is a D6. And so minimal, you're usually rolling a D6 because most things you can't go lower than that. And so basically you're rolling a skill and an attribute for most of your tests. And if you get a benefit, then you roll an extra attribute dice. If you if there's some negative, I believe you're rolling one, but you take the lower of the 2 rolls. I believe I have to double check. I played too much recently, but yeah, I remember. And so then a D6, so a result of a 6 is a critical, and so you have a chance to roll criticals much more easily, of course, with the bigger dice. So like 50% of the time you're rolling a critical with a D12. Yeah, so yeah, it's right here. And then also the pushing your roll mechanic exists as well. So of course ones that have the origami unicorns mean you can't re-roll them, and that if you have pushed, you'll have some very negative result. You can only push once, except replicants can, they suffer stress instead of damage, and they can push twice. So you can really, really live on the edge mentally. And so I think replicants have to rely very much on those mechanics of their key memory, their key relationship, and their item to keep going to. And similar to the other systems, of course, then you've got all of the core skills, and they're all paired with an attribute. So it's very easy once you get the hang of it to know where you're rolling on. And here's the that's nice that they always do this. They give you percentages of on certain dice. If you're rolling and how many times, if you push the roll and things, the chances of succeeding. So you can it helps you take a quick, does the math and lets you take an educated guess. Don't roll too often. Oh yeah, there is disadvantage. So when you have advantage, you add a third base dice to the roll, and you count all the criticals, or all the successes. And when you have disadvantage, you remove, you don't roll and take the lower, you remove a base die. So you're rolling one die for a disadvantage. That's right. So it's actually taking away the die, not taking a lower roll. So here's all of the skills, and they're basically what you would think they are. Force, hand-to-hand, stamina, mobility, stealth, firearms, tech. So thrown weapons and things are firearms as well. So there's no, they kind of group things in a little bit unpredictable ways under certain skills, just because it's a limited set of skills. Tech, medical aid, connections, manipulation, and observation. Insight, and then driving. And so driving is a funny one because you need it in certain situations, especially vehicle combat or chases. You're rolling driving skills, and everyone will have at least a d6 driving, but you might want to put, one of you in the group might want to put some points into that so you can more reliably you can drive a vehicle more reliably. And then here's all of the specialties. So these give you flavor. Depending on your archetype, you can have access to these, and these give you nice flavor. Bodyguard, if someone within short range of you is hit by an attack, you can dive in and take the hit. Cash flow, you get an extra Chinyan at the start of every case file. Chinyan point. Control, when rolling for a critical stress effect, you may re-roll the result once. Counselor, once per shift, you can heal 1 point of stress. Fast reflexes, you draw an additional initiative card at the start of combat. Oh yeah, and this uses the initiative similar to all of the Year Zero engine. Gutter Rat, you can move to a new location on foot without rolling connections. Hardened, your maximum resolve score is increased by 1. Hip Flask, it burns like hell in your gut, but once a shift you can take a swig to heal a point of stress. Insider, you get advantages on all connections. Interrogator, you get advantage on manipulation. Kickbacks, you get advantage on connections. Killer, if you want to roll, you roll an extra crit die. Married to the Job, you get 4 shifts without a downtime. And before suffering stress, so you can do extra 1 more. So you can work through the night, but then in the morning you're going to have to take a break. Martial arts, get advantages on hand-to-hand, merciful. When you inflict a critical injury on someone, you can voluntarily reduce the crit die to make it less lethal. Musician, you get the advantage of manipulation in situations where singing or playing an instrument is helpful. That's not going to be very helpful. Origami, you can fold a mean origami figure. This can take a few minutes and heals a point of stress. A people person, you gain a second key relationship. Protected, you lose a promotion point due to any failures in your duty. You roll connections, and for every success, that amount of point is reduced by 1. Scientist, you have advantage in tech. Smokes, it'll kill you, but at the end, once per shift, you can light up and reduce your stress. Sniper, you get advantage into firearms at long range. Sycophant is by constantly ingratiating yourself into your superiors, you get an additional promotion point at the end of each session. Ooh, that could be very useful. And then tough, your maximum health is increased by 1. So that gives you a much more flavor and mechanically benefits your characters a lot. So of course different archetypes have access to the different specialties, and then combat, initiative. So similar if you've played Twilight 2000 or any of the Year Zero engines, it's not going to be completely out of there. You're not rolling groups of d6s. You're rolling ranks of dice. But other than that, it works very similar. Ambushes, free action, movement, close combat, range combat. Yeah, everything looks really nice. The book itself, because I've been reading the PDF for so long, it's nice. Oh, and here's the death rules. So if you suffer a critical injury listed as lethal, you must make a death save when the listed time has passed 1 round or 1 shift. Yes, so we had an NPC fail a death roll. The death save is not an action by itself. You roll stamina, and even if you're broken, if you are not broken, you can push the roll normally. If the death save fails, you die. If you succeed, you linger on, but you must make another death save when the listed amount of time has passed. And here's our critical injury table. So, of course, there are... And what is it? Oh, it's under lethal, right? So you see, until you get to 9s as a result, you're not doing anything lethal. With piercing, though, at 5, you're getting some lethal results. So certain different types of damage, so crushing or piercing, can be more lethal, and they have mechanical, like you lose mobility, you have disadvantage. So there's a lot of different effects, and then stress factors and critical stress, and you can have situations that are horrifying or horrible realizations or something very difficult for your character to process, and they have to make stress tests to not take stress and survive the situation. So that's a way to push them. They're kind of under mental attack, and that can be in the middle of conversations. It can be images that they're shown. So a lot of that stuff can happen. And so then fighting stress, pulling yourself together, a helping hand. So another PC or an NPC can help you, even via the Kaya. And Kaya is your kind of like your communication unit. It's like a little video screen radio. And we even did text chat to make it simpler over that thing. Fire and drowning. And there's spinner combat. Nice. Yeah, that never happened with combat. They were so lucky when combats, nobody ever had to pursue anybody in a spinner. They did great in a lot of the heavy-duty combat scenes. Chase maneuvers, foot chase obstacles. This is kind of fun. I like their how they handled the chase mechanics. So there's you're starting a chase, and then they can choose different maneuvers, and those can either be what they choose. The pursuer and the pursuer and the fleeing person. In the chase, there are two types. So that you get a starting range, and the participants use this table to decide what they're going to do, and then you're also throwing obstacles in their way. So you're supposed to foot chase obstacles in a table, so you can roll on those and give a really interesting kind of randomized thing that happens, through the city. And then there's ground vehicle and aerial vehicle obstacles, so you can chase them any way you want. All right, so here's the setting. Oh, there we go. So there's got to be, I can't wait to see this, in the starter set there is a newspaper. There's an independent Sentinel copy of the newspaper, because in the beginning of this case file, sitting in a noodle shop reading a newspaper is what one of the characters is doing. So I can't wait to see this. I'm curious how they printed it. And so there's a lot of information in the newspaper that is, relevant to what's going on in the world. And so May 15th, 2037. So you can very early on, if you can put things together from things that are suggested in the newspaper, you can kind of get the jump on certain things happening in your case. So here's just the talking about the city and kind of the divisions between the low and high. And of course, anybody with money or anybody with status is not on Earth anymore. So there is a group of elites, and they're the only people that are in flying vehicles, and basically everyone else is stuck on the ground in the kipple. So it describes that, the haves and have-nots, and how broken the city is. And so, of course, then a Blade Runner would move between those two worlds. Like, that would be the only character type that would be doing that. So if you did a Blade Runner game and you could play a politician, or you could play a noodle shop owner, you're not getting anywhere. You're not interacting with anybody. It's a very limited game. And telling you about the technology and things. And it's funny, the internet kind of came and went through these different eras. How the data technology, memory cubes, memory bearings, Esper photos, and the communications. Of course, there's the vid phone, and then there's a data network, but there's no social media, I think. Mass media, passions and poisons. So they do go into this a little bit, the entertainment. So if the second case file isn't going to come out for a while, we might have to do an underground replicant fighting ring. That sounds like fun. All right. Oh, look at that. Another beautiful spinner page. Yeah, so yeah, describing the city, going downtown. And here's description of the sectors again. Just like this is the same as the end paper. So Sector 5 is the central district. Oh, an example of your lovely apartment where you drink and recover. Yes, you have a choice basically for your downtime, home or street. And there's a table for random events that can happen. So home is a little bit safer. You're not going to have so many violent encounters, but things can happen. And then the street, you just you get on a stool at a bar and just self-medicate. So Sector 4, the industrial sector, Chinatown, Hawker's Circle. Sector 9, the commercial district. Sector 1, the entertainment district, where the snake pit is located. Sector 2, the arts. Sector 12 is LAX. And then the wall, the Sepulveda sea wall. Yeah, so due to climate change, the oceans rose, and they built a wall along Sepulveda that keeps LA from flooding. So beyond downtown is the San Diego Trash Mesa. Traveling outside of LA. So Santa Barbara, Los Angeles Hills, the Energy Empire. Traveling off-world. You never will. It says so right there. Here we go. Calm down. This game has limits, and you play within those limits, and it's really, really fun. You never will. Powers that be. So here's a description of, so there's our Wallace. There's our... the head of the Wallace Corporation, our blind leader. That was supposed to be, in 2049, the film was supposed to be played by David Bowie. That would have been so much a better film. But of course, cancer had advanced too far for him to be able to act in the movie. But that's a shame that we couldn't have had David Bowie as the head of Wallace. So then the government agencies, so the UN is basically the world government now, after everyone, corporations run everything off world, and the UN tries to, hold together what's left on Earth. The LAPD, so special interests, off-world immigration, colonization, defense, corporations, and then the media, there's TV, entertainment, and periodicals. And I like that there's still printed newspapers. That's great. Nice analog, getting wet in the rain newspapers. Criminal enterprises, so syndicates, street gangs, and replicant underground, counterfeiters, chop shops, white collar, and then traffickers. There he is, Neander Wallace. So description of the Wallace Corporation, their agenda. Cal and PC, their PR agent that you'll be dealing with if you're dealing with Wallace. And then replicants, and they talk about the history of the Nexus, development of the Nexus. Nexus 6, Nexus 8, so they jumped. There is no Nexus 7 because they wanted to put the nightmare of Nexus 6 behind them. So Wallace immediately, Tyrell immediately jumped to 8 so that they're much better. It's an Xbox 360. So the replicants a lot in life, kind of really giving you an idea of like how people think of you, how you're treated, and how you're feared. And then there is a clash between like pro-humanity, pro-replicant. So there are two kind of political forces, and protests can break out on both sides, making the case. So basically describing, the role of the Rep Detect, and then the RDU headquarters, politics and pecking order. I have a better one. Then the divisions, and there's Holden. And so, the Rep Detect unit is headed by Holden, and of course he's got artificial synthetic lungs because he was shot by Leon. So that's fun. I mean, I am not a big fan of when they put like movie characters and stuff, but Holden, we know so little about him that it gives you the ability to flesh him out and make him whatever kind of chief that you want. Because all we did is see him interview Leon and get shot. And there was a cutscene where he sounds very insane, where he's talking to Deckard from like a medical pod. But that was cut from the film. So Wallace Resources, Library, Records, Memory Lab, Memory Vault. So here's all of your resources and the things that you can do, and then what they cost in promotion points. So a meeting with a UN delegate or governor, 3 or more promotion points. But that means, you're respected enough in the LAPD that you can spend that kind of influence. So you can roll connections on some pretty high level stuff. So leveraging assets, following the scent, protect your network, know their MO. And here's examples of different assets that you can use. Building a reputation. Yeah, so talking about promotion and distinction. And so, based on... So service, the different things you can be awarded, and then the different disciplinary actions that can happen if you fail or get on the wrong side of the rep detect unit. So standard procedures: claim your territory, document your facts and central questions, profile persons of interest, and form a hypothesis. So it's nice. They give you and then build your case. They give you a kind of a process to go through. If you just have no clue, you don't watch any police procedurals, that you didn't really get enough from the films, that they don't really go heavily into procedure. This is a good way to maintain cover and cover your ass. A nice way to get some sense of like what you would do as a Blade Runner. So you're not going in at zero. The game runner says, okay, report to the crime scene. What do you do? I don't know. I have no idea. So work that scene. So different approaches to figuring out what's happened. So yeah, you're basically going to be given a case and given a question to answer, or a lead to follow. And these are the different ways to chase all that stuff down. And then the tools of the trade. There's some great illustrations in here. So the RDU gear. So your badge. You can flash, and here's the Kaya. So the chunky box, it looks like an old handheld video game console. So that does everything. It reports back. So running empathy tests. So if you do run into, Nexus 6 are all gone. So I guess if you're playing earlier, that could happen. But empathy tests are, because all of the Nexus 6, unless they were artificially preserved somehow, they are gone. They've all hit their expiration dates. And the baseline tests for the Nexus 9s, and all of the guns, and then the specs on the guns, what kind of damage they do. And I didn't realize that's a nice thing about the blaster, which is not here. Oh, it's got its own page. The blasters that the Blade Runners carry have different ammunition. So you've got a choice of your standard load, which I think is the sonic round, and then the other two, which give more specialty, higher damage, and different ranges. So you can do different loads on the gun. So that's very flexible, and that's standard equipment. Yeah. So and this second one is, it's all sonic. Yeah, both are sonic rounds, but you have a little flexibility there with how you're going in, how you're loaded. So it was a close combat and protective gear. And I like that, wearing body armor and things has disadvantages to the manipulation and interrogation. You lose your ability to, connect with people and get information, but you're not going to get, gunned down so easily. Medical services, stimulants, and pharmaceuticals. That's right. Yeah, there's... And anything that's listed as incidental on a lot of this equipment tables is just, you can get it anywhere. It doesn't cost anything. It's not hard to find. It's just you automatically have it. Basically, you can pick it up on the way. And then the mainframe. Oh, Esper lenses. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's in 2049, isn't it? We didn't get into that. We just had the Esper wall, and then the crime lab. That was really fun. To have the information that the crime lab can tell you, the ballistics analysis and stuff. Synthetic support, anemoids, synthetic augmentations, so you can become a bit of a cyborg. And then digital companion, so similar to Joy, but this one is the RDU dispatch. So she's not cooking for you. And then detective special spinners, and they give you nice descriptions of the schematics on the spinners, and then the different types that would exist out there, and also spinner carriers. So you get the maneuverability, the hull, and the armor. So if there is combat, you've got some stats to roll against. And a cycle. I don't know if we ever saw this, but yeah, a spinner cycle. It's probably faster and much more vulnerable. And then the public transportation. Basic goods in the world. The shopping destinations. Kale magazine. And then talking about, yeah, the vendors. Alright, yeah, so you've got the train. City food, infocom, automation. And then running Blade Runner. So here's the game runner section. So just basically, yeah, like we talked about, reinforce the key themes, playing scene by scene, setting the mood, anatomy of a case file. Yeah, so, and the countdown. So case files, and we'll see that in the, I guess we shouldn't give away too much in the case file that's included, but you basically have events that are going to happen on different times of different days, depending on how many people in the party, because you can kind of move faster if there's more players. Their investigation can go faster. And you have a deadline, like something's going to happen on day 3 or day 6. And you've got that many days to make the investigation, to kind of bring it to a conclusion. So locations, final confrontation, and aftermath. Yeah, so and the case files have a nice structure. They have a nice story structure. So tracking time. Time definitely is a factor, and yeah, you basically have 3 shifts to do something, and then a shift of downtime per day. Finding clues, the handouts. I can't wait to see the handouts. Using the Kaya, so remote access, and then reporting evidence. So you can do a lot of things with the Kaya, connecting, sharing the evidence. And we basically did that so when the characters were in different positions, they could still hear what was going on in the other. Like, we didn't have to have so much of the and then tell him what happened here, unless you wanted to. So basically the players could say, I turn off my Kaya so he doesn't hear this conversation. That was an interesting thing to do, is give the players the choice of, is he hearing this or not, because then that gives you the ability to earn humanity points and hide motives and situations. Of course, the actual player in the real world at the table is hearing it, but they do have to play. They shouldn't metagame. They need to play within the information that their character would have. And so here's the downtime rules, and then downtime events. So you've got the home events, and then street events, and different things can happen. And then how promotion points and humanity points work. Non-player characters, how to handle them. And so basically, you don't have to, I think they always kind of guide you this way. You don't have to roll every single thing between NPCs. If you want something to happen, it's going to happen. And if there's some kind of question about how severe it is, it's probably worth rolling. But things just happened. You don't have to make players sit there while you roll against, the NPCs roll against each other. And then typical NPCs, this is really nice if you need to quickly make up. So you have stats here, and so they run into somebody, or they have some asset or something that they need, and right there you've got stats to roll from, and like what they're typically equipped with. That helps a lot. And then a case file generator, so tables to generate your own case files while you're waiting for the officially published case files to happen. You can generate, I gotta see if there's a fight club in here. I don't know why that suddenly becomes so interesting. All right, and so lots of tables, and then main NPCs in your case file. So there's a lot of random generation, and kind of this can work as just a spring taking off point, an inspiration or motivation to kind of go particular ways with a case file idea and create enough people to kind of populate the world, so there's enough for players to bounce around between the player characters, and all the clues, the twist, the final confrontation, and then mood pieces. Nice. And look at that index. Okay, so here is their example, their sheet, which is nicely done. I think they also do have a printer-friendly version, because you don't want to print all this black-green ink. I think there was a printer-friendly version already for that. I think they learned from what was it? What was the game that needed that immediately? They learned that right away. And then this is I looked at this and I said, this is terrible. I don't think I'm ever going to use this, but this is the most useful thing for the game runner. Because basically you've got your 4 shifts of your day and then all the days that the case will take. And you can go through in here and mark when different things are going to happen, depending on how many players you have, when different things are going to happen. And so you're going through all of this. And then when you go back through and see where they've been and what they've done, this is a really good reference. When I first saw this, I'm like, this is... I don't know, I wanted some more visual creativity or whatever, but this is exactly what you need to track how the case is going. And you just have the, what each of the players did on that, like where they went, what they did on that shift in the day. And then you can mark, with a little star or whatever, or just some reference to the page in the case file, what happens on this day. Like, this is when Wallace comes down on them. This is when they find this dead body. That stuff is really great. Yeah, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, I want this to be more interesting, but it should be useful, and this is a very useful way to present everything. And there's our end paper again for Los Angeles. Yes, so, yeah, it's one of their thinner books, but I think one of their best games. I really was really impressed with how this played. When I first looked through the PDF, I was not blown away. It felt like there wasn't enough there, but that's the point. Like they limited it in scale, and I think that was a really good choice. And I wonder if that was something that they kind of, when with the license or whatever, or with the brand manager. I think they have a liaison with the licensor. I wonder if that was something they established early on. But that's brilliant. You can really rely on Free League to make good choices with these sorts of games. They didn't try to make a cyberpunk red out of Blade Runner. So very good job, and a very, very enjoyable game. And now, the starter set. All right, let's get this this plastic off of here so we can actually read it. I'm so happy to finally have the physical stuff. I want to run this on an actual table and not in... on a VTT anymore, and just see what that is tactically, because I really like... Oh, Alien, that's right. Alien was the one that needed a printer-friendly sheet very quickly, because that was so black. So here's our starter box, and but I really want to see how different it plays when you've got stuff spread all over a table instead of just, all over a screen. So the starter set with a little bit of a scratch on there. This is the starter set for the official Blade Runner role-playing game. Okay, we're going to get a little repetition, I think. A neon noir wonderland that will take your breath away one way or another, an evocative world of conflicts and contrasts that dares to ask hard questions, investigate the power of empathy, the poison of fear, the burden of being human during inhumane times. Yes, an iconic, unforgiving, and we know, time to live or time to die. So this box contains everything you need to start playing. An 80-page condensed rulebook. That's nice. So that'll be a nice thing to pass around the table for just basic rules lookup. The game mechanics are based on the acclaimed Year Zero, but further developed in a uniquely tailored to Blade Runner. Yes, they definitely are. 56-page Electric Dreams book. First full-length case file for Blade Runner to crack. 4 pre-generated characters to play. A huge full-color map of LA 2037. That'll be a nice thing to have on the middle of the table. Yeah, so what is that, 86 by 50, almost 56 centimeters. That's big. That's very big. 26 full color evidence handouts. This is what I really want to see. This hopefully won't spoil too much, but I really want to show you guys all of that stuff for players to pore over, including crime scene photos, data files, documents, maps, and more. A custom manila envelope for the players to keep their evidence safe and interesting. I guess between sessions, right? A time tracker sheet, 70 high-quality custom cards, non-player characters, chase maneuvers, and obstacles. Oh, that's great. For the chases, then, they can play their maneuvers as cards. And then, of course, initiative 1 to 10. 8 engraved transparent dice. So, yeah, we'll have 12 dice. That should be plenty, so everyone can roll the actual dice. I saw some people get 2 extra sets of dice so that they had, what is that, 16. Which, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you have to roll a lot of doubles, so we'll see. And, yeah, nice glossy box. Sturdy. Oh, and lots of silica gel. There's our big cards, and of course their games catalog, which we've seen. Over there is the alien. Oh, nice. Yeah. So here, we'll have 12 dice. So 3 of each, which I think that is probably enough for everyone to be able. So we can just pass these around in a cup and have people be able to roll that up. Okay, so first let's take a look at the cards here. So they always do a nice job with their cards as well. Nice art. And we'll see that repeated throughout. Alright, and here's the infamous... Oh, and they're nice matte. Look at that. Not glossy at all. Leah from... Oh, it's a mugshot. Oh, nice. Oh, they're labeled. This is so good. Yeah, this is great. Because they reference them as, handout mugshot D, handout mugshot A. This is great that they're labeled like that on the card backs. So Leah, who we called Lee because I didn't want people saying Leia. Princess Leia. And then, of course, we got criticism for it. But I knew a couple of Lees. I've known 2 Lees that call themselves Lee and their name is spelled that way. Both Canadian, so maybe that has something to do with it. But here's the wonderful... These are great. These are on matte cardstock, so they're not going to be glossy. Doc Badger. Terry. You may get some hints what they're trying to do already, just looking at some of these cards. These are really great, and that's very clever that they the game runner can deal with them face down like that. And then, of course, your initiative cards, 1 to 10. Nice. And then your maneuvers. Yes. Oh, great. So chase maneuvers. And then the obstacles. Wow, so you can actually, you can just randomly draw these. So foot, ground, and aerial obstacles. So instead of rolling on a table, you can actually just draw these out. That's fun, too. I think that works really well. You just got to shuffle them well so you're not doing the same thing every time. Yeah, and the same kind of, burnt CRT tube appearance. These look beautiful. Yeah, I'm glad they're not glossy. I'm glad they did a nice matte on these. Those are much more readable. I don't think I even want to sleeve these now because they're so nice. They feel really good handling them, and they're nice and thick. So I don't think I want to sleeve these because they're not going to get that weird stuff that happens to glossy cards. So yeah, really nice. Okay, the cards are great. I didn't know how useful or good they would be. And here's our rules. So wow, and a pretty nice, glossy cover, but a nice cardstock. So it's not a booklet. It's an actual soft cover book with the square bound binding on it. So yeah, this is a lot of, so maybe minus the fluff. This is basically what we were looking at in the core book. And great, yeah. So there's no, so basically no game runner section, no fluff. So all of the rules, and this would be a great thing to hand around the table. They can get beat up, and it's no big deal. But people can, check all the things that they want to do. So someone can be looking up something while another person is acting. That's excellent. And the case file. Oh, we're getting there. It's the same kind of square bound, glossy booklet. And so here is, I'll just kind of flip through just so you kind of see. I don't want to spoil anything. But maps of all the locations, the stats for people. Oh, and they reproduce. So I actually had to cut these out and put some of them to make some of the handouts and stuff. Cut some of them from this PDF. Oh, and then I see the Free League symbol on the back. But yeah, the adventure and maps for everything. It's really well done. And all the handouts. Oh, I can't wait to see. Nice. Oh, and even an index. That's great. Yeah, this is really fun. This is a really fun. This case file is really fun. So here's our manila envelope to keep. Oh, and this is where all of the handouts. So we'll hang onto those for a second. Nice. And again, They printed these on nice matte paper. So here's Willem Novak, our inspector. Wilson Backer, our enforcer. Fenna, our replicant doxy. Percival, our replicant analyst. And then a case notes sheet, and then the time sheet. Yeah, this, I wonder if you could put this in a sleeve or laminate it and then just like dry erase on it. It might be a little dangerous between sessions though. But yeah, this is not very printer friendly. A nice pad of these would have been good. You know, a nice like, you know, 20 or 30 of those in a pad. Oh, nice. So here's our and these are heavier. So this is uncoated paper, totally uncoated paper, and this is a nice heavy coat, which you probably actually write on these. So here's, oh, and they already give you the specification of what they are. So map H, a map of the Hollywood sign, a map of Kill Magazine, a map of an apartment, a map of another apartment. The snake pit. I love that they give you the external too. They didn't have in the handouts in the PDF. They didn't have this yet. External of the building. That is very immersive. The memory lab. Well, I don't know, some kind of memory lab. Oh, that's nice. Excellent. Yeah, and so you can kind of say, you know, we're here, because you're abstracting the distances. But it's nice to, you know, if multiple investigators are in a location. Anemoid Row. I wonder how close this is to the map from the game, because you visited Anemoid Row in the PC game. I wonder if that's the standard. Nice. And the sign for the Aurelian. Well, I wonder what that's about. Oh, and here we go. Here we go, the big, and this is again a nice heavy coated, similar to the maps that I've done for Forbidden Lands and Alien and all the other really nice heavy coated map of LA. This is a beautiful thing to have on the table. Yeah, this is really nice. So this is a perfect thing to have on the table to kind of start everything, and so the players can kind of plot where they're going. Oh, so interesting. Nothing on the flip side. Yeah, I guess there wouldn't really be anything that useful. But yeah, so the flip side, they did print on it. It does have the edge effect, the kind of CRT tube edge effect on there, the texture, but no information. Interesting. But give you a blank tabletop. But this is really nice. Yeah, very nice version of that. Okay, and now the thing that we've all been waiting for. Yes, you've got your nice NPCs, lots of maps, and this is going to be the whole case. I don't think anything here is going to completely ruin it, because you would see these images flipping through anyhow. This is better than a manila envelope. It's actually a cardstock envelope. Unbleached cardstock, so that it looks like a manila envelope, but much nicer than one. But look at this. So brochures, like pieces of brochure, a piece of poetry, a torn piece of poetry. Awesome. And then wow, these are so good. So these are glossy because they would be on a glossy screen, but these are, if you brought up on your Kaya or at your, you know, consoles at LAPD, these are the profiles, the database profiles for the characters involved. Oh, let's see. Anything? Oh yeah, so this is that specific handout. And here's the orders that go to the player on the first time. So anytime you bring up a character in the personnel, it gives you this bit of information about them. That's great. Yeah, these are nice. And so these can easily be handed out. And aren't going to get messed up in there. And all of them are referenced. So this is handout D, and there's a reference to that. A photo, a postcard. That's a little bit big for I was hoping it would be in scale. I guess they do have giant postcards. Oh, look at that. There's a place to put a stamp, though. I guess for printing's sake, they made everything the same size, but this could have been a little smaller. The world's biggest postcard. Oh, here it is. The newspaper, yeah. Oh, yeah, so uncoated. Brilliant. This is great. Yeah, uncoated. Independent Sentinel. And there's clues. It's not two-sided, but there's clues. This is great. It feels very good. And he actually just, fold it up, so it gets worse and worse. It looks worse and worse every time you play, because this is just, you just have this stuck under your arm, and it's raining, and so this is going to get messed up. But that's nice, uncoated. That looks great. And a glossy magazine cover, and here's some Esper photos. So we've got some surveillance cameras from particular situations and areas, and these are nice, glossy. Again, somebody's place, another place. These are great. So imagine that map with these photos laid all over them, with the profile database and then the NPC cards. Yeah, there's a lot of really nice, interesting stuff to peruse while you're trying to put this case together. And I can imagine making visual, because there is some visual connections that you can make in this case. I can imagine making visual connections based on everything laid out against each other and go, wait, who are those two people? Yeah, that's really great. I really want to play this in real life so we can see how this goes. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got two-sided. Yeah, the quality is amazing, and they did it just right. The newspaper is uncoated, postcard's a little big, but other than that, everything is great. The page from the book is uncoated, so it feels like a page from a book. So they did a great job. I mean, kind of in the spirit of Call of Cthulhu and things, they created handouts that are very immersive, that they feel like what they're supposed to be. They're roughly the scale and quality of the thing that they're supposed to be. So, wow, really nice. Yeah, very impressive. And I like that. Yeah, everything that they've accessed. You can keep stuff in the box they haven't seen yet, and everything they have so far in the case file. So between each session, you put it back in here, and then you just spread it out on the table at the beginning of every session, and then they can kind of plot their, what they're doing for that shift based on, going back into the case file. Really, really nice. And of course, the dice are just like the other ones, and no mistakes. Yeah, I don't see any, paint film mistakes or anything. So so 3 of each. Yeah, because there are some times where if you've got, if you roll, where you may have to roll 3 6s or 3 8s or whatever of the same. So if you've got advantage but you suck at everything, then you roll. But look at that, 2 successes. That's great. I think this is enough. I can't tell, because it's kind of a pain in the ass to do the dice translation when you've got a system that's so very specific to anything over a 6 is going to be critical, and every 1 is going to be. It's interesting though they chose the unicorn, the origami, as the fail, or the. I guess no, it was because it was always the origami was the. Trying to poke at you, a little bit of trauma there, a little bit of commentary. So I guess that makes sense. Wow. Okay, this. Oh, let's put the cards back in. This is great. This has been an unboxing of something we've been waiting for forever, and something we've enjoyed. This is easily my favorite game of 2022. This was amazing. So take a look at our actual play sessions. There's 4 episodes, 4 1-hour episodes up there. I think we've got 1 or 2 more that are going to go up. Probably at least 2 more. I'm not sure how things are going to break up. But, and the screen as well. Excellent. And our wonderful screen. Yeah, that's right. Wow. I'm going to have a good looking table with the way that they did all of this. Really nice. So I'll put a link to the actual play so you can get an idea, and you can just kind of skip around if you don't want anything spoiled. Just kind of skip around in the actual play just to kind of see. And what we did is so we were using the now dead Astral VTT, and so I just pulled things out of the PDFs from the core book that we had the beta rules for, and then the case file, and use those as the handouts and the mug shots and everything. So essentially everything that you'd be handing out here as physical paper, I was dropping onto the Astral tabletop. But also in the virtual, I use some CG animation renders and some cigarette smoke and things to kind of give you, and rain. Of course, it's always raining. So rain to give you a little bit more idea of the setting. So we just played over Discord and with a virtual tabletop. Can't do that anymore because that particular one is gone. But I did try to do a good job of recreating close to how things looked when we were playing them, plus a lot of augmentation. To make it a more watchable video. So take a look at that and get an idea of the first case file. And especially if you want to run this, definitely go through, because I think the players for this actual play did a really good job of digging deep into what a replicant is, what they want a replicant to be, what a human is, and how you're navigating in the world, the dirty tricks and the things you're going to want to do in the world. And the characters, got angry, they got sad, they did things that were really great in the game. And I think that's what there was no learning curve. There was no time where they needed to figure out, what am I supposed to do in this game? It clicks, because the way the mechanics kind of guide you into, well, if you don't tell people that, then you can increase a skill. Those sorts of little things that prompt you into what can happen in the world is really good. So if you enjoy procedural, like police procedural stuff, investigation, so non-Elder God investigation, this is probably one of the better games at doing that. User engine is really fun and playable. The combat's nice and deadly and fast. It is really, really fun to play. So take a look at the actual play, especially if you want to be a game runner, because it'll give you a good sense of how off the rails and how fun all the moral questions, the kind of existential angst and things that happen in this game, how it goes. Characters have really good moments. I mean, I think more than any other RPG I've played, there have been moments that I'm always going to remember, and not moments of like, oh my god, and then he, barely, not based on roles or silly things that the characters decide to do, but these moments of just characters just get hit with these like, oh my god, I don't have a wife. All these years, I thought I had a wife, and I don't have a wife. These sorts of things are really fun and explorable in this game. So I would highly recommend this if you enjoy. But it is limited. It's not going to give you huge variation on what you can do. You're a Blade Runner within this world, and it's a terrible world, and it's not cyberpunk. So you're not playing hackers. There's no virtual world. There's just data, and there's still analog newspapers, and there's very limited resources because you're on an Earth that's barely surviving and dominated by corporate overlords. So, wow, thank you for watching, and like this video if you enjoyed kind of going through everything. And I hope this gives you a good sense of like what goes on in this game. My initial read through of this, I really was like, is this enough? Is this enough? And but once we got this game on the virtual tabletop, it plays beautifully. And I really haven't felt that before. I've been really blown away and really impressed with a lot of the Free League systems and how they adapt to Year Zero. And with Blade Runner, I guess because I was suspicious, they took this to Kickstarter. It's a huge property. Why did they take it to Kickstarter? That made me suspicious right away that this wasn't going to be good, that they were just, slapping a Blade Runner, coat of paint on Twilight 2000. And it's definitely not. It's a really, really amazing version of this world. And if you enjoyed those questions, and similar to Alien, this game can play for any type of fan of this world, no matter if you think Deckard is a replicant or not. Those questions can be left ambiguous and feed the drama and the tension and the moral choices in this world. And I think that's really well done. It's something that the second movie that Blade Runner 2049 tried to do, is not answer any questions, keep things ambiguous. And so whatever if you played the PC game all the way through, if you've read comics, I don't think any of that is going to spoil your enjoyment of that, because you don't know any secrets or anything they're going to give you any sort of advantage, because it's all about playing your character and playing your character in this world. And the case is something you have to accomplish because it's your job and it gets you promotion points, and that's what you need to be doing. But it's actually the character moments and the development of kind of your moral compass and how you want to navigate in the world that I think is the real fun. And it's something that you can't in a rule book, kind of completely give mechanics to. So that was the thing that was missing, but it exists, in the session very, very much. The thing that I didn't see when I initially read the rules. So thanks so much. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of what we're doing, and you'll get all of our actual play videos and everything early. We do the weekly update of all the news and current events of tabletop. So the weekly live with Chris is a live stream every Friday Japan time, and Thursday night North American time, Western Hemisphere. And so thank you so much. Upturntable.com is the website where all of our stuff goes up, and you'll find resources there. I did a rules reference sheet that I'll upload to the website as well, that just kind of gives you a summary of all the some of the tables, basically like everything a player would need that would be something presented like a GM screen but for players. So a rules reference, everybody knows what that is. So thank you so much for joining me, and if you'd like to support what we're doing, please visit patreon.com/upturntable, and like I said, get early access to everything that's going on. Help recommend what we should do on the weekly, what games you'd like to see us cover more, what styles of actual plays and things you've enjoyed. We've done recordings of physical at the table actual plays, and then the Blade Runner is our first kind of virtual actual play, but I think it came across pretty well. So it gives you a chance to influence what we're doing and kind of support us and make more things possible, but also help us with the direction of the channel. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back again soon. So take care, everyone, and see you next time. Goodbye.